Campbell's instincts and toughness show up on tape, and surprising athletic testing at the Combine forced Edholm to reconsider his ceiling as an ILB prospect. Sanders is a tricky evaluation. He's rangy, can rush the passer, and is just starting to round into a form as a player, but he's not there yet. Sanders might have a Kyle Van Noy-like career arc. Tucker Kraft is sort of a poor man's George Kittle in terms of playstyle and temperament, although Kraft isn't as athletic, a receiver, or dominant blocker. Johnson looks like more of a box safety than a deep halves guy, but he can blitz, help your run defense, and also offer some QB spy potential. DeJuan Jones is a mass of humanity right tackle with generational length who took big strides in 2022, but questions remain about his athleticism and stamina. John Michael Schmitz is not as athletic as Chiefs Pro Bowler Creed Humphrey, but they are cut from the same cloth. Day one starter with medium upside. Darnell Wright's inspired performance versus Will Anderson Jr. last October really put him on the map as a prospect. He's likely to go higher than this ranking, but the first round chatter is too rich given that he's a right tackle with average athleticism. Smith is a dancing bear nose tackle with surprising lateral movement skills and strong roots against the run. To this point though, he has been more flash than production. Jalen Hyatt is a dynamic speed demon who is a bit of a one-trick pony right now. Could he be this generation's Will Fuller? Not yet some of his parts. Ringo strikes Edholm as a more athletically gifted Rasul Douglas, which means he'll give you a big play and also some negative ones. White is a converted tight end who is still learning to harness his raw, natural ability. The key will be to finding the right position for White to thrive in, but he's one to watch in a year or two. A total outlier dimensions-wise at 166 pounds, Forbes won't be for everyone with his incredibly lean frame, but interceptions matter. A fearless, undersized, big play weapon, Downs' hands are a bit shaky at times. He's sort of smaller framed Jahan Dotson, though not quite as explosive. Those expecting an Aaron Donald clone will be disappointed, but the small package Kancey is a pretty darn good likeness with his gap shooting quickness. Brian Brzee was better in 2021 than last season for understandable reasons, but if healthy, Brzee projects to be a Zach Sealer type of penetrator. Joe Tippmann is a long athletic center who doesn't let his height work against him, son of Mitch Moore's clone. People might be sleeping on this hard-changing, well-built QB hunter with surpassing pass rush development. Onyebuike Uzomah seemed to find his way into the backfield in nearly every game this past season. Steve Avila is a wide-bodied blocker who had a really solid all-around combine workout and possesses guard center potential, a possible 10-year starter at either spot. Smith has a top 10 athletic skill, strong character, toughness, and high energy. Other than the Michigan game in 2021, Edholm hasn't seen him take over much as a pass rusher. Tight end is a notoriously slow developing position, and Musgrave isn't a finished product. But Edholm wouldn't be shocked if someone travels back from the future to tell him the Oregon State product eventually became a Darren Waller type. Like his brother Aziz, BJ is a bendy, twitchy edge who can run the arc in a hurry and affect the timing of an opponent's passing game. It's a little surprising there isn't more buzz on Tui Pelotu, who's a hybrid rusher with interesting inside-outside versatility and a fairly high floor as all-around defender. Torrance is a thick-framed guard who can anchor a run game almost immediately, and won't be a liability in pass protection as long as he has some help against quicker interior rushers. Jordan Addison's slight measurements and merely solid workout numbers cloud his projection just a bit. His play strength doesn't measure up, but Addison can be a nightmare to cover in space. Washington is a matchup nightmare and the perfect addition to any offense with an athletic passer and a bedrock run game. He can thrive as a run blocker and a red zone receiving threat. Gibbs has exceptional gear shifting ability, thrives in space, and can run hard in traffic when needed, even with a small frame. It's surprising more people are not buzzing about Deonte Banks' combine performance. Even in a deeper CB class, Banks' athleticism stood out, as does his toughness on tape. Will McDonough IV may never be a total package defender, but he possesses disruptive traits. Some might be unenthused about Michael Mayer's lukewarm combine numbers, but Edholm isn't dwelling on those. Mayer could be this generation's Jason Witten, which is as dependable as it gets for a two-way tight end. Unsure if he'll ever be a high-volume wide receiver 1 in the league, but Johnson's explosive ability and yak skills should add a big play dimension to almost any type of offense. The number of inaccurate throws from Boston College QBs to Flowers over the last few years makes for a frustrating watch, but the wideout has some Antonio Brown-like flourishes in his game. This might seem low, but it's not meant as a knock on Levis. Levis just needs a few years of growth until we see him unleash his full potential. Teams will have to monitor Kincaid's recovery from a small fracture in his back, but when healthy, he looks like he can become the Zach Ertz-like weapon as a move tight end. Ascending Cam Jordan-style power rusher whose game remains just a bit incomplete, Finesse easily could end up being viewed as one of the top 10 players from this class. Brian Branch could play a role similar to the one Jimmy Ward has filled for the 49ers, a hybrid defender capable of manning the slot or the post safety spot. Myles Murphy possesses rare athletic traits for a big edge rusher, but still lacks a little refinement in his play. With further development, Murphy could start earning comparisons to Jaguars' Josh Allen. Witherspoon might be the Trent McDuffie of his class, coming up a bit short in the measurements department but checking almost every other box. Edholm is a bit more bearish on Skoronski as a left tackle than others seem to be right now. He'd be best suited as a left guard in the Joe Thuney mold. Long and athletic, Jones is teeming with upside. But right now, Edholm likes the Ohio State tackle just a touch better. Some remain worried about Njigba's speed, and others view him as someone who can play exclusively in the slot. Edholm disagrees on both fronts and believes Smith Njigba has the highest ceiling of the wide receiver bunch. Porter made 2 huge steps last season, cutting down on penalties and making more plays on the ball. Then he backed it up with a really good combine performance. Paris Johnson had a few rough moments in the college football playoff loss to Georgia, but he's fluid, toolsy, and has starting experience at multiple spots. Teams interested in landing Richardson might need to move up higher than they initially expected after his big NFL scouting combine showing. We'd like to see Christian Gonzalez a little more consistent as a run defender, but the 20-year-old is the most fluid cover corner in this year's draft. If Tyree Wilson could fire off a ball a tad better and add just a little more nastiness to his game, he could be an absolute game wrecker. Stroud might lack some wow qualities, but ultra-clean mechanics and untapped movement skills complement his steady approach, touch, and ball placement. Teams will need to do their due diligence on Carter's off-field issues, but on the field, Carter projects to be a highly disruptive interior presence in the NFL. There are durability concerns due to Young's slight frame, but the 2021 Heisman Trophy winner's mature, poised approach and rare anticipation should make him ready from the get-go. Bijan Robinson isn't likely to be a top 5 pick given positional value, but he's as close to a perfect back as we've seen in the league in years. Will Anderson Jr. has the length, power, and tenacity to be the DeMarcus Ware type of rusher.